Hey, what's up? How's it going, everybody? Just hooking up some transistors to the pulse motor. Got a 4-magnet rotor. Alright, now I just need to hook this up to the base. Alright, we're gonna give it for a take it for a test spin. I'll tell you what I got hooked up so far. I've got one 22 gauge strand hooked up on this side and 122 hooked up on this side right now. And this is our sensor coil. That's awesome. It's already awesome. But we got 3 more strands on each side to hook up. Parallel. So I got 3 more transistors on this side and 3 more over here. Alright, that's cool. Should I turn it up a little bit? Just a little bit. 9-volt battery right here. Get a tack reading on that. $908. And that's just with, I don't know, it's like 1,000 turns of 22 gauge altogether. Now I've got a 26 gauge strand, a 30 gauge strand, and a 32 gauge strand. What should I hook up next? It's a mirror image. The drive coils are mirror images, so it'll be that way for the other one as well. Alright, let me grab the connectors. We're going to go just down the line. We're going to do 26 now. Alright, so thanks for stopping by. We're building a pulse motor with, it's going to be eight total parallel strands connected. We're doing a 26 gauge. 22 gauge is already set up. And that's what we were just watching, 22 gauge. But now we're going to look at 22 gauge and 126 gauge strand. Or do you want me to just hook them both up at the same time? Because it will be slightly imbalanced with just the one side hooked up. But I don't want to go too long without spinning it. Alright. So we got the collector set up. Collector is hooked up. Now I need to hook up the emitter. to the negative power distribution. And then when we get into like extra connections, I got a breadboard. We just plug one into the positive, one into the negative, and we get so many more connections. And let's plug in the base and be on with it. I really don't like crocodile clips. There we go. And it looks like we're going to have to move this, all of this over here. So I got a rectifier diode hooked up so that we get extra connection space. If you ground your sensor coil, you really don't need to run DC. Yeah, let's turn it on. That's 6 volts in. It's pretty awesome. All right, let's hook up the other side and we'll get a better idea. Currently, we've got two 22 gauge strands and one 26 gauge strand hooked up. The transistor I'm using is an NTE36. It's 160 volts, 12 amp transistor. Fast switching, which I found to be quite the necessity. Plug this into the power. I gotta make sure this is right though. Alright, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Alright, we'll take one of our NTE 36s. They're nice and large, or maybe medium sized. They're bigger than the ones I usually use. And we're going to be right at like 30. Collector. .26 I found to be the best gauge for speed and like torque together. It's really quite awesome, especially when you get 4 26 gauge strands parallel together. It's pretty powerful. But the way I'm doing it now, I can outrun a load in a heartbeat. Like on 15 volts, I can outpace the light that I have hooked up to the induction coil. But with the 4 26 gauge strands, can't do that. It just doesn't happen. It won't happen. And I'll show you the exact coil I'm talking about. There's only 215 turns in the coil. And it's got its own trigger, so I can hook it up to this one without really interfering so much with any of the other ones, as long as the transistors don't fry each other out and they help each other complement each other. That's important for success. What I mean by that, and like your sensor coil, $5 volts, freaking awesome. So should we hook up the induction coil right now? See if we can, what kind of electricity we can get off of it. Let's see what a 9-volt battery looks like with this setup so far. That's awesome. Let's see what we get. $9.29. So it's pretty much the same. $9.32. So it's creeping up still, but it's pretty much leveled out. With the 4 magnet rotors, they level out pretty much instantaneously. The little small ones. Oh wow, that thing's trying to leap up off there. That thing's trying to fly away, dude. That's awesome. $12 volts. That's awesome. We're going to leave it at 5 volts. Maybe. Just cut it. That's cool. Fabulous. That thing is awesome. So, what I mean by the induction coil, we can either do this one right here, which is 22,000, and we just plop it right here, and it'll generate AC electricity, or we can do the 11,000 one. And just plop it right there. And every time a magnet passes, some AC electricity will be generated. Now they're all the same. They're all facing the same way. I don't have any north-south stuff going on. So I'm wondering whether or not I want to put this big one up there. Put it like right here. I don't know. This little one will go. So that same philosophy that I just described about the magnet passing the coil and it generating electricity is how I'm making the transistors work with this coil. Same philosophy, it's just it generates enough electricity to close the gate. Or open it, whatever way you're looking at it. Well, that's really close, let's see. Alright, looks good. Now before we hook any other strands up, let's connect the lamp. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to look behind me yet. I'm about to do that. Alright, yay. Cool. Thanks for hanging. Alright, we are going to now hook up our power to our lights. It's actually just one light. So the inside of the coil gets connected to the small pin of your plug. Just your ordinary plug. The inside of the connector goes to the small pin, which is the live wire. And then the other side goes into the neutral, which is the big pin, or the fat pin. When you get it backwards, you can't stick it in the socket because the big pin goes in the big hole. Alright. Now that's hooked up, and that's really good, but we want to see some of that voltage. Right here it is. Alright, so we're going to hook this up. Actually, I need to make my ends a little longer because they got clipped off. And we'll hook this up real quick. Need a light. Good. Good. And just like that, the dark one goes on the end for the fat prong, and the red one goes on the short prong. Right up parallel, basically. And then let's go to AC voltage. Let's turn it on, see what happens. 8 volts. Oh, the light's already on, dude. That's freaking awesome. Sorry, it's behind this thing. Let me move it out here. There's a load on this thing and it is moving like a champ. It's got 65 volts being generated on the coil. If I turn that switch off, I bet it'll jump to about 150. It is flashing a little bit. 9-volt battery. Let's see if we can't get the camera a little closer. Yeah, there's not an angler to point it down from where it is. Alright, that's cool. Are we ready to hook up the next 2 strands? We're running out of connectors, but I know it'll work. Alright, here we go. See, the cool thing about the 4-filer coils is that it's got a 32 gauge strand in them that'll work as a trigger coil if I choose to put this coil inside of these 2 coils. Basically, I can do that if I want to. Why haven't I done it? Well, I've done it. I've done it a lot of times. I'm just doing it this way right now. But yeah, I mean, when we get down to the 32 gauge strand, I can definitely hook up, you know, hook those up. It makes a little squeaky noise. It's kind of cool, actually. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Because it's set offset anyway. This is a set. Oh no, that's just for the 9-magnet rotor. Okay. We'll see what happens. I might have to switch the rotors. I don't want to though. And that'll leave me with 2 transistors. This is gonna be awesome. In case one of them gets fried, I can always change it out. So this is a 30 gauge strand that I'm hooking up right now. Emitter. Goes on the negative. And then this goes on here, so. Gotta scoot everything down. All right, let's see if that's gonna work. I mean, they're all touching each other now on the base, but I think it'll work. 30 gauge is hooked up on one side. Almost like instantaneously the light lights up. It's pretty neat. All right. So yeah, we're getting more voltage from the same amount of voltage put in. We're at like 68 right now instead of 65. And it's not all a big deal, but it kind of is when the load is on. When the load's on, any voltage increase is a big step. Alright, let's see for a second if I flip the switch on the light, what'll happen. So we're at 110 volts instead of 68. Wow, that thing is like trying to jump off the shaft, dude. It's amazing. You can see it like bouncing, levitating, bouncing up and down like that. That's awesome. Alright, 117 is the voltage we get off of this rotor at 9 volts without a load. Now I turn the switch on, it immediately drops down to 68, 69. But we generate 68 volts above what the load requires, which is a 15-watt light bulb. Alright, sweet. Cut the power. So 15 watts, 117 volts minus 15 watts, leaving 68 volts left on the meter would mean that about 50 volts in amps, volts slash amps is coming out. Really cool. All right, one more to go. And then we're gonna hook up the trigger strands for each one. This is it. The one that was so hard to like. That's the right one. Again, we connect the power to the center of the coil. Or the start of the coil. Because legitimately, you have to start the coil in the center. That's why it's the center and the start, because it is. Just because the electricity might not know the difference, which it does actually. Yeah, I don't see how it could not know the difference. I mean, not intellectually, but I mean, no. Yeah. No is the wrong word to use. It's not like it has knowledge or anything, but so hard to explain it. I like personifying things like electricity. Get one of my nice little transistors. And we're going to hook up our emitter and our collector immediately. And this is going to be our final push. I'm not hooking up any more to the drive. At least not in this episode. But we will hook up our our trigger coils, our interior sensor coil, their last strands. Alright, so let me just get a look to make sure everything's working. Alright, now it's working good. Alright, so we are now going to hook up our sensor coil strand inside of each of the drive coils. Alright, well, in order to do this, we got to make sure that we have the right, oh, that's right. Haha, we never did this part. Which is okay, because alright, we'll do the other side. No. Okay, we're going to have to use, because the alligator clips are not clipping very well. So this is a ground. Oh yeah, we gotta make that lead a little bigger. And right. Right, this is okay. There we go. Now, this is gonna suck because I have longer ones, but I don't have shorter ones. And I need one of these diodes. So that side's hooked up, except for get that 32 gauge. Bada bam. I hook the diode to the other end of that one. Just make sure it's the right one. Yep, that's right. Okay. That was easy. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. All right, these three are good. Now let's hook it to this. I don't know, man. I think this is record time too for those of you who stuck around. This usually takes people a while. But of course, I got rudimentary skills on my side here. All right, let's give it a shot. Trigger coils are inside. I want to put it on too high. 9, 7. And you see the timing, you're not allowed to time it differently because the trigger is now captured in the drive coil. But it works. It works. That's 10 volts. So this is no longer a factor. But those are both in set positions, so we're not getting our double benefit from having them be in different positions on them. So me personally, I think having this coil is better. I mean, it takes up another spot on the rotor, but I mean, it's already outperforming this way by a lot. All right, let's do a low voltage test. Let's put it on like 2 volts. My other power supply probably will be a lot better for this experiment, but we'll just do the best we can. All right, 1.8 volts. Let's see if we can get it started. Now, it's not going to go very fast if it's going to go at all, and I think we got it. No, that's going to stop for sure. But you can hear it. Two point nine volts. See if we can catch it there. I mean, I can hook up my other power supply and we'll get a lot more accurate voltage control. So yeah, feel free to leave a comment or anything. This is 2.98 volts in on the pulse motor we just built. Heck yeah. I think that's definitely an accomplishment. So this is 5 volts in. You know what I really am like, just because of the size, there's a lot of incompatibilities with different size rotors. You got to be able to. That's why there's so much of a mess on the table, because that's the only way you can adjust it so much. I mean, like this, I can adjust it out. Like these two can go out like this. But as for moving it this way, I can't do that. Maybe if I build another like track and put it right here, and I could, yeah, that's what I'll do. Like, yeah. All right, we'll get the offset position in for our next live stream. Right now it's magnet. We're gonna do magnet and have an off magnet position right here for the next one. That makes sense? That's gonna be awesome. I bet the speed will at least increase by, I don't know how much, but not like 100%, but you know, somewhere in like 40% range. And that's with the load. Let's take the load off. Let's turn the light off. See how fast we can get this thing going. Yeah, it's got less power because the timing's off for the interior trigger. Yeah, the camera doesn't really give it justice. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's so cool. All right, so do we want to see what a set and offset position looks like? I don't know. I gotta put a different rotor on, but I could swap them out real quick. That's why I built the tracks. Yeah, let's do it. Freaking awesome. Mm-hmm. Mm. And just get these coils into position. So this is the on-off pulse motor. It never turns off. You know, I was supposed to switch, but one coil was always on. One of these coils will always be on. But they both switch. So let's turn it up to that's 3.84. I have to put another ring of tape around that. Why does it keep doing that? It's kind of hot. Now put another ring of tape around that, and that should stay just fine. Oh, I got another idea. Although all pulse motors are supposed to work better with a core, we're going to take this one out. That'll work. Oh yeah, let's give it for a test run. One core. Kind of disappointing. So it's like gonna make me do it right now. That's funny. Okay. Aha. We can do this. All right. We got this. $712. 712 RPMs, and that's because the trigger's inside the coil. So with the trigger coil embedded inside the drive system, you get way worse RPMs, like way worse, because your timing is not right. That's awesome. We'll leave this rotor in. See, and with this rotor, you need 2 outside trigger coils, because they're not all, both of these coils are not triggering on the same time. They're triggering on opposite time. So you need opposite trigger coils on the outside when you do it on the outside. Can't do this one all with one outside coil. You can't. If you can, email me or text me the method on how you do it. All right, so let's see here. This little devil right here is mean. This little coil is 215 turns of 26 gauge. There's 4 strands of 26 gauge. 1 strand of 32 gauge. So this has its own trigger as well. And you can see how much copper is actually on that. Or in it, not much. It's just around the center there. Alright, so is there anything else? Yeah, not right now, I don't think. I really want to set the outside coils up like I had before. But I had to take it apart and put it all back together again over and over just to make sure that I was in control. And I know this like the back of my hand now. freaking awesome. And that's just the drive. I mean, we put together a pulse motor today, and this is just the drive circuit. We did take a look at some generator stuff, but there's a couple more things I need to add to this. These little slider things, I need to put one of these offset over here so I can do the 4 magnet rotor offset and set like this one. I need to get this hooked up. This big coil kind of slides on this core like this. Perfect. And you just prop it up because it weighs a lot. We're going to turn the light on. And this is the weakest light I have is 15 watts. They're all LEDs, but the weakest one is 15 watts. Yeah, we could hook up the 35 watt one real quick. Thanks y'all for hanging out. Appreciate the company. Alright, here we go. We're going to put that induction coil back in. Alright. Alright, we'll give it one more go. And this is with just 3 strands. Will it ever turn on, I wonder? Maybe I turned it off. There it is. You heard it slow down, right? that's another thing with the internal trigger strands. Outrunning the load is not possible with the trigger strand inside the coil because the timing is that bad. And I've done this 100 different ways. I mean, I've done it with a 12 magnet rotor, I've done it with a 9 magnet rotor, I've done it with a 4 magnet rotor, I've done it with weak magnets, I've done it with strong magnets, and every time the trigger is inside the drive, it can't outrun the load. But when I hook up the 32 gauge strands that are now being used as triggers into the drive, right? So I take this transistor and I hook the 32 gauge up to it. And then I take the external trigger coils. Then you have a fourth strand on each side that is incorporated into the drive, making it stronger. And I just, I wanted to try it both ways though. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate you guys stopping by. And we'll probably be doing another one later on. So feel free to come back. And we're gonna outrun that light. We're gonna make sure we have it on and that we continue to increase in speed, both in speed and maintain everything with the light. We're gonna make it work. So I've had it work 100 times. It's just I usually use the outside trigger. All right, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. I don't know, should I go? What should I do right now? Anybody have any opinions? I mean, I could hook up, we're an hour in, hour and 7 minutes in. I could definitely hook up the 32 gauge strands if anybody wants to see that. No, we'll do it later. Thanks, everybody.